2 years after I divorced my unfaithful wife, the police showed up at my house out of nowhere. Looking back, I realized the divorce was only the beginning. You don't spend 23 years with someone and really know them. Not deep down. 2 years of silence and then 3 knocks on my door at 7 in the morning. That's when I realized what she'd really been planning. My name is Daniel Dixon. Everyone calls me Dan. I'm 60 years old, and for 32 years I operated chemical processing equipment at the Hartwell Industrial Complex outside Fort Worth, Texas. It was a good union job, steady paycheck. The kind of work that lets you raise a daughter and buy a house. I retired 18 months ago with a decent pension. Thinking I'd finally earned some peace and quiet, 2 years after I divorced my unfaithful wife, the police showed up at my house out of nowhere. It was a Tuesday morning in February, 7:15 exactly. I was standing in my kitchen in a t-shirt and jeans, coffee mug halfway to my lips, when I heard 3 hard knocks on my front door. Not the kind that ask permission. The kind that announce themselves. I opened the door and found 2 detectives on my porch, county sheriff badges, catching the weak winter sunlight. Behind them, I noticed my neighbor Mrs. Patterson's curtain shift. Across the street, old Henry Wilcox suddenly became very interested in his mailbox. The first detective was a woman, maybe mid-40s, sharp eyes like she'd seen too many liars. Her card later read Detective Lisa Peake. "Mr. Dixon?" she asked. "Daniel Raymond Dixon." I nodded, the cold February air cutting through my thin shirt. "We need to ask you about some loan applications submitted in your name over the past 18 months, she said. Her voice calm and professional. "Are you aware of those applications, sir?" My coffee went cold in my hand. I set the mug down on the small table by the door. "I haven't applied for any loans," I said. "I live on my pension." "What's this about?" The second detective, a younger guy named Tors, opened a notebook. 8 applications to various banks, he said. Amounts ranging from $9,000 to $15,000. Your signature on every one, roughly $48,000 total. My hands started shaking. I knew immediately, Sharon, my ex-wife. The woman who had already taken half of everything I worked for in the divorce. "That's not possible," I said. "We've been divorced for 2 years." I haven't had any contact with her. Detective Peake's expression didn't change, but I caught something in her eyes, doubt. Or worse, like she'd heard this story before. "Would you be willing to come down to the station?" she asked. "Tomorrow afternoon around 2:00, answer a few questions. Help us clear this up." I heard what she wasn't saying. They thought I might have done it. "Yeah," I said. "Tomorrow at 2:00. They thanked me, handed me a card, and walked back to their unmarked sedan. I stood in my doorway until they drove off, painfully aware of every pair of eyes on me. Mrs. Patterson wasn't even pretending anymore. She stood at her window, phone already pressed to her ear. I closed the door and leaned against it. My rental house, small, drafty, but mine, suddenly felt like it was closing in. The walls were thin enough that I could hear my neighbor's TV through the drywall. Before I could move, I heard footsteps on the porch. Frank Richardson, my neighbor 2 houses down. Didn't bother knocking. He opened the screen door and leaned inside. "Dan, you okay?" he asked. Frank was 64, a retired state trooper with 30 years on the force, built like a fire hydrant. Gray hair cut military short. "Police say someone took out loans in my name," I said. 8 of them, almost 50 grand. Frank's jaw tightened. He stepped inside and shut the door. "Sharon," he said, it wasn't a question. "Who else?" I replied. Frank had been my neighbor since I moved in after the divorce. He'd seen me at my lowest. Helped me move what little I had left. Sat with me on nights when the silence got too loud. "When's the last time you talked to her?" he asked. "The day the divorce was final." 24 months ago. I looked down at my hands, still shaking. "I thought it was over, Frank, I really did." Frank glanced toward the street where Mrs. Patterson was still watching. "Come on," he said. "Let's talk inside. No reason to give the whole neighborhood a show." Frank made coffee while I spread my divorce papers across the kitchen table. 8 pages of legal language that boiled down to one thing. Sharon got the house and $42,000 in equity. I kept my pension and my truck. Everything else we built over 23 years got split or sold. Look at this, I said, pointing to page 6. All debts incurred by either party after this decree are the sole responsibility of the party incurring them. Frank leaned over my shoulder. Smelling like Old Spice and coffee, that should protect you, he said. But there's something else. He tapped a note I'd scribbled in the margin. Sharon needs SSN for final tax return, March 15, 2023, I explained. A week after I moved out, she called. Said she needed my social security number to finish our final joint tax return. I gave it to her without thinking. Frank went quiet. Dan, he said softly. That's how she did it. My stomach turned. 23 years of marriage, and I'd handed her the keys to ruin me. My phone buzzed. Emily. My daughter. Finally calling back after 3 missed messages. Dad, she said when I answered. Her voice tight and controlled, the voice she used at work with difficult patience. She was a nurse at Harris Methodist, and that professional tone told me everything. She was upset. Dad, I need to talk to you about something I started. I already know, she interrupted. Mom called me this morning. She told me what's going on. My chest tightened. What did she tell you? That you're in trouble with the police, that you're trying to blame her for loans you took out. Emily's voice wavered. She said you've been calling her, threatening her. Dad, what's happening? I gripped the phone harder. Frank was watching me, his old cop instincts reading my face. Emily, listen to me, I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. I haven't called your mother. I haven't spoken to her since the divorce. She's lying. She was crying, Dad, really crying. Of course she was. Sharon had always been able to cry on command. I'd seen her do it with sales clerks, marriage counselors, even the divorce mediator. Tears were her favorite weapon. I can prove I didn't take out those loans, I said. The police showed me forged signatures, bank statements with charges I never made. She's stealing my identity. Silence. For a second I thought maybe I'd gotten through. I can't do this right now, Emily finally said. I have to get to work. Please don't call me about Mom anymore. Dad, I can't be in the middle of whatever's happening between you two. There isn't anything happening between us, I tried to say, but she'd already hung up. I set the phone down slowly on the table. Frank poured himself more coffee, giving me space. She chose her mother, I said. She doesn't know the whole story yet, Frank replied. Give her time. I don't have time, I said, standing up and pacing my tiny kitchen. I'm supposed to go back to the police tomorrow. They think I'm a criminal. My daughter thinks I'm harassing her mother, and I've got maybe $2,000 in the bank to fight this. Frank set his mug down. You need a lawyer, can't afford one. You can't afford not to, he said. Who handled your divorce? Janet Reeves. Charged me $250 an hour to watch Sharon take everything. Call her anyway, Frank said. See what she says. Then he paused. And Dan, don't give up yet. Sharon made a mistake going after you. She should have stayed gone. After Frank left, I sat alone in my kitchen, staring at my phone. Through the wall, I could hear my neighbor's TV. Some game show with canned laughter that sounded hollow and far away. Sharon had been working on this for 2 years. 2 years of forging my signature, stealing my identity, wrecking my credit. And now she had Emily convinced I was the problem. I picked up my phone and called Janet Reeves. It was time to fight back. Detective Peake's office smelled like burnt coffee and frustration. I sat across from her desk at exactly 2:00 p.m., a folder of divorce documents on my lap. She kept me waiting 20 minutes, probably on purpose. Mr. Dixon, she said, sliding a stack of photocopied loan applications toward me. Take a look. I picked up the first one. Personal loan $11,000, submitted 16 months ago to First Texas Bank. My name. My social security number. My employment history at Hartwell Industrial, but the signature wasn't mine. Close, but wrong. The Dan Dixon had a loop I'd never used. That's not my signature, I said. It's close enough to fool a bank, Detective Peake replied. And it's notarized, See the stamp, Rachel Perkins. She verified your identity, claims she met with you personally. E never met anyone named Rachel Perkins. She leaned back, studying me. Help me understand something, Mr. Dixon. You're saying you had no knowledge of $48,000 in loans taken out in your name over 18 months. That's exactly what I'm saying. But your ex-wife would have had access to your personal information. I gave her my social security number for our final tax return, I admitted. That's it, I never even told her where I moved. Peek pulled out another document, bank statements. These charges, restaurants in Dallas, shopping at Nordstrom, a Lexus lease payment. $470 a month. You drive a Lexus, Mr. Dixon. I drive a 2015 F-150, I said. Paid off 6 years ago. Then she tapped one charge that made my blood go cold. Premium spa package at the Grand Hotel, $2,000. You remember that vacation? No, I said. Because I was never there. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my calendar. Those dates, I was in San Antonio. My brother was recovering from surgery. I can prove it. She made a note, but her expression didn't change. Here's what concerns me, she said. This could look like a conspiracy. You and your ex-wife working together, then claiming fraud once the debt got too high. My hands clenched around the chair arms. I understand how it looks. But I didn't know about any of this until you knocked on my door. Then help me prove that, she said. Don't leave Fort Worth. We'll be in touch. Walking out of the sheriff's office, I felt like everyone was watching me, the deputies, the people in the waiting room, even the receptionist. Like they all saw a criminal. I drove home in a fog. When I pulled into my driveway, Frank was waiting on his porch. It go? He asked. She thinks I'm lying, I said. Or at least she's not sure I'm not. Frank's jaw tightened. Then we get ahead of this. I made some calls today. Old contacts. He pulled a folded paper from his jacket pocket. Sharon's credit report, he said. I know a guy who owed me a favor. I unfolded it. And that's when the numbers started to tell a very different story. Sharon's credit score had collapsed after the divorce. From 710 to the low 500s in 6 months. Denial after denial. She couldn't get loans in her own name anymore, Frank said. So she started using yours. The timing lined up perfectly. The fraud started right when her credit died. Not coincidence, desperation. Then Frank dropped another bomb. I tracked down the notary, Rachel Perkins. Works out of a UPS store on Henderson. You don't have to do this, I said. Yes, I do, Frank replied. If she gets away with this, she'll do it again. And you're my friend. 3 days later, the call came while I was under my sink fixing a leak. Mr. Dixon, this is Steve Harmon with the Fort Worth Telegraph. A reporter, he said my name had come up in a fraud investigation. 8 loans, nearly $50,000. Then he added something that made my stomach drop. Your ex-wife filed a restraining order yesterday, claims harassment, says she's afraid of you. That was a lie. A complete lie. Before I could process it, Emily called. Did you really file a restraining order against Mom? She asked. No, she filed one against me. That's not what she told me, Emily said. I don't know who to believe anymore. Then she hung up. Frank showed up minutes later with more bad news and one small win. The notary admitted it, he said. Sharon paid her cash, no ID check. She wrote a statement. That night, Sharon started texting threats. I saved everything. Then the letter came, Texas State Pension. Certified mail. My pension was suspended due to an ongoing fraud investigation. That was my rent, my food, my medication. Gone. The same day a bank called. A $12,000 title loan against my truck. 3 months past due. Repossession in 10 days. That truck was the last thing my dad helped me buy before he died. Frank found me sitting on my porch, staring at it. She's trying to break you, he said. But she slipped. He showed me Sharon's boyfriend, Brett Hoffman, city councilman, married family man, the same stolen money, funding their vacations. That night Sharon texted again. You owe me. And I'm collecting. Frank read over my shoulder. That's not fear, that's entitlement. Then at 2 a.m. my phone rang. Dad, Emily said, crying, I'm at the hospital. I need you. When I got there, she pulled me into a room. She has your mail, Emily whispered. Months of it, opened. I took pictures. Then Emily said the words that changed everything. She told me she planned this before the divorce. That she was going to bleed you dry. My phone rang, Sharon. I put it on speaker. You turned my daughter against me, she hissed. I'll destroy you for this, Dan. And for the first time, Emily heard the real her. I swear to God, I'll take everything. You already did, I said calmly. But I'm taking it back. You can't prove anything, Sharon snapped. It's your word against mine. Actually, Emily said, stepping forward, it's your own messages, your own admissions and recordings. I heard everything tonight, Mom. And I recorded it. Silence. Then Sharon's voice turned cold. You're just like your father, weak, pathetic. You should have left years ago, Emily replied. Would have saved us all a lot of pain. The line went dead. Under the hospital's buzzing lights, Emily and I stood there in silence. What happens now? She asked. Now we call Frank, I said. And take this straight to the police. Your mom just made a big mistake. Outside, the night was cold and clear. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. My daughter was back. I had proof.